Now we are going to discuss about the top 10 myths of entrepreneurship. Of course, fear is not the only obstacle that stands in the way of entrepreneurs. Countless myths also uh, countless myths also block the first capital steps. Following is what Scott Shea, professor of entrepreneurship at uh, Case Western University, says are the 10 greatest misconceptions of entrepreneurship. The first one is that a lot of money is needed to finance a startup. Contrary to what most people believe, 10 years ago, a typical startup in the USA required about $25,000 to begin. How it is possible to start a business which with such a small amount of money? Successful entrepreneurs do whatever they can to keep costs low. They borrow equipment instead of paying for it, they rent instead of buying, and they turn fixed costs into variable costs by doing such as paying their employees commission instead of salaries. The second point is venture capitalists are a good for startup money. Not unless the business in the computer or biotech industries. In the USA, venture capitalists also found around 3,000 companies every year, one third of which are in the startup stage, with around 81% of all venture capital dollars going toward business that deal in computer hardware and software, semiconductor semiconductor communication, and biotechnology. In fact, the odds that our startup will receive money from the venture capitalists are about 1 in 4,000, which is worse than odd of dying from a fall while taking a shower. While the third point is most business angles. That is a person who enjoys giving money to someone else that he or she can start a business are rich. If rich means being a person with money more than $1 million or an annual income of $2 lakh to $3 lakh, then the answer is no. Almost three-quarter of the people that provide capitals to fund someone else startup don't meet SEC accreditation. People that provide capital to fund someone else startup don't meet SEC accreditation requirements. On the contrary, 32% have an income of uh, $40,000 a year or less, and 17% have negative net worth. The fourth point is startup cannot be financed with debt. Actually, debt is more common than equity. According to Federal Reserve survey of small business finance, 53% of finance for new business that are 2 years old or younger come from borrowed money. 47% comes from equity. Fifth point is bank don't lend money to start up business. According to Federal Reserve data, banks account for 16% of all financing provided to companies that are 2 year older or younger. This is 3% higher than the next higher score trade creditors, and a bit higher than the most common capital source. Everyone talk about friends, family, business angles, venture capitalists, strategic investors, and government agencies. The sixth point is most entrepreneurs start their business in attractive industries. Unfortunately, the opposite is true. Most entrepreneurs had sights for the worst industries when contemplating a starting business. For example, in the United States, the correlation between the number of entrepreneurs starting business in an industry and the number of companies filing in the same industry is 0.77. Put another way, this means that most entrepreneurs choose the industries in which they are mostly likely to fail. The 7 point is the growth of a startup requires more entrepreneurial talent than the type of business chosen. Perhaps not surprisingly, the industry in which the entrepreneur chooses to start his or her company has an enormous influence on its growth. Between the year 1996 and 2006, uh, around 4.2% of all startups in the computer and office equipment industry made the 500 list of fastest growing private companies in the USA. The percentage of growing company in the hotel and motel industry average is 0.005. Eating and drinking establishment average 0.007%. This means that the odds making the 500 list were 840 times greater for a computer company rather than a hotel. The eighth point is most entrepreneurs are financially successful. How they are successful, that dependent on your definition of success. While it is a true that small business are responsible for the majority of wealth in most countries, the wealth these business create is unevenly distributed and it spreads rather thinly. For example, the typical profit for an owner managed business is $39,000 per year. Only the top 10 of entrepreneurs earn more than their employees. Put another way, the typical entrepreneur almost always earns less money than he or she would earn working for someone else. A 9 point is the larger number of startup achieve the sales growth projection that equity investors are looking for. Absolutely not. Of the 55 lakh 90,000 or new business founded in USA every year, less than 200 reach the $1 million $1 million in sales in 6 years. The most venture capitalists require around 500 business reach the 50 million in the sales that top and the business angle are seeking, and only about 9,500 companies each a target of 5 million in the same 6 year period. While the 10th point is starting a business is easy. How it is easy? It is unclear why anyone would believe this to be true, particularly when one takes into account that the majority of people who start a business ends up failing to the USA. For example, 7 years after beginning the startup process, only one third or successful entrepreneurs can boast about having a positive cash flow greater than their salary and expenses for more than 3 consecutive months. Okay. Next point is how to overcome negativity. Perhaps now it is easy to understand why so many people forego the notion of starting their own business and choose to work for someone else instead. Simply put, building a business is hard and the odds of succeeding are harsh. That being said, if starting a business seems beyond your reach because the people surrounding you, not the fact, are filling your head with negative thoughts, the following advices for the experienced business entrepreneurs may be worth considering. So the first one is, as a rule, most people in life will tell you what you cannot do rather than what you can do. The second point is, just because someone doesn't believe in you doesn't mean you cannot succeed. Third one is, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Your post doesn't have to contaminate your future. Where you come from is not important. It is where you are going that counts. If you focus on what you want instead of what others deny you, you will have a much greater chance of succeeding. Fear of unknown and the noun can be controlled once it is admitted. The next point is developing a healthy definition of success. What is the healthy definition of success? still afraid of taking risks and stepping out in the unknown, you are not alone. It is not uncommon for everyone experienced entrepreneurs to measure themselves against unreasonable standards and see themselves falling short. For example, a successful entrepreneur in the UK once admitted to that be tough this business was a failure. This was unusual because there was no doubt in my mind that he was doing quite well. So I asked him how long you have been in business. I asked him. He replied 16 years started his business. And how many similar business around here have come and gone during the time? 7, he answered. Okay. What about your salary? Do you make a good living? Oh yes, he replied. I have a nice car. I live in one of the better parts of town, and I usually take 1 2 vacations a year. Tell me about your employees. Do they leave for every month? Do they stay with you? All of them have been with me for years. I'm sorry, I said maybe I am missing something. Where do you think you are going wrong? He got the point. He was confusing. He was confusing his desire to better with to better with failure. I like so many people he saw other entrepreneurs who had more of something than he did, and they immediately assumed that he was losing the message. Be reasonable with your expectations and learn to view your business goals as a staircase rather than a one chance shot to moon. This doesn't mean settling for less. It means being realistic and progressive. When it comes to your aspiration, as one entrepreneur I interviewed put it, tell your readers that the fear and insecurity of running a business never ends. Indeed, the very concept of entrepreneurship involves overcoming the daily nagging dread that even after serving a satisfied customer, we are in effect of unemployed until the next customer can be served. It is just something we entrepreneurs have to learn to live with. So, the what is the other end of scale? That is overconfidence. What is overconfidence? Wilbur Wright, co-inventor of the airplane, once wrote to his father when flying, I have learned that carelessness and overconfidence are far more dangerous than deliberately accepted risk. Put another way, the inventor of one of the world's most successful devices firmly believed that a little fear is a good thing. His contention is that fear keeps one in check. Overconfidence can lead to misjudgment, disregard, or ignoring of good ideas and advice. Says psychologist Amanda Druckerman. She goes on to say that people who believe that they are superior to everyone else, which is partly what defines overconfidence. So overconfidence is assuming yourself more, you can say, superior to other people and assuming other people inferior to you. So they are often incompetent and self-deceptive, which opens the door to missing out on opportunities. Think about Duckerman's words and those of Wilbur Wright when he contemplating that often reported line that the majority of world's business ventures involve little more than 1%. Manufacturing a product, providing services, and distributing or selling services or product. So, what are the advice from the pros about overconfidence? By now, it should be apparent that starting a business is an electric or all nothing and endeavor filled with misconception, contradictions, joy, defeat, and advice, both wanted and unwanted. With that in mind, this has been concluded as has very uh, clear with the wisdom of entrepreneurs, many of whom assisted in the writing of books with their hard-won advices. So these are the advices about the overconfidence in business, as in life. Now that you cannot change whatever what you tolerate. Be honest as to what you want and need. Accept the fact that things in life cannot be taught, they can also be learned. Remember that fear is a gift, it is nature's way of keeping you alert. Thinking of fear as an acronym, false evidence appearing rare. Make a list of what you are afraid of. It is so frightening now, is it? Find out if other have experienced similar fears and what they did to overcome them. Tear up the list you wrote about. Okay. Next point is, now that there is no trust or safety where there are unanswered questions. Map out the direction you wish to take by writing down what needs to be done. Start moving towards your goal by gathering as much related information as you can and adapting it for to fit your prospective customer, your region, and the business and structure you would like to begin. You have nothing to lose by education yourself. And to an entrepreneur, every day is a crisis. It was said by Philip Knight, founder of Nike company. Okay, let's move forward. That is starting your business. Why, when, and where it should be done. How to start your business. Be original unless you want to get very rich, very fast, then copy like crazy. That's Kennedy. Not long ago, a medical researcher in London spent an afternoon visiting an art gallery. One of the more integrating display he saw most magnets to move colored metal particles instead glass tube. Sometime later, there was another display that was repelling force of a giant magnet to levitate a series of smaller magnets. Sometimes later be inexplicably thought of these exhibit which led him to believe that it just might be possible to use magnet to push and pull ionized cancer medication directly into tumor. As a result, a new field of medicine was born. Just as with science, business is also had the same ability to merge what may appear to be some two seemingly unrelated fields that led to something completely new. Note, however, that the researcher in example above would not have come up with the groundbreaking idea if he had not first discovered a field of interest that excited him, and if he had declined to take an interest in the world around him. It is not much different for those wishing to start a business. Prospective entrepreneurs should start with an interest or passion in a field, area of product and explore the purpose and goals behind which they want to make a major change in their life. This type of honesty and insight often prove invaluable in ensuring that the rationale behind a proposed business is a valid. So here is the starting up a business. Popular opinions suggest that owning a business involves working flexible or not being beholden to anyone, having the ability to make independent decision, and in effect the complete being completely on one's own. Equally as obnoxious is the belief that people life has not quite turned out the way it was envisioned. Entrepreneurship is as good as an instigator of change as any to chart a new close to success. Unfortunately, in both of these cases, reality can be quite different from which is believed. What is needed to be a successful in business? According to experienced entrepreneurs, apart from a sound idea and ambitions of good reasons, one must desire to set out into the unknown with the heart of an explorer and the mind of business character contractor. In addition, it must be understood that a journey laden with risk, hard work, sacrifice, and occasional setbacks it is what lies ahead. If this sounds somewhat harsh, consider the fact that in some cases up to 90% of the new entrepreneurs go out of business with the first 3 to 5 years of operation. Traditionally, it was usually assumed that many startups go bust due to lack of research and preparation, poor business practices, or unforeseen economic influences. Yet, A growing number of researchers think that a large number of businesses fail because their overworked owners decided that the rewards are simply not worth the effort, so the plug is deliberately pulled. Let's move ahead. These are the good reasons for thinking about starting a business. Because of starting up a business can be difficult. Starting up can be difficult. It is a good idea for beginners to have several good reasons and so why he or she would like to become an entrepreneur. The most common of these are the reasons: a desire to be one's own boss and handle more responsibility, a love of difficult challenges, the seeking of career independence as well as more control over life and its direction. A major life change has occurred, that is divorce, disability, jobless, pregnancy, retirements, etc. The entrepreneur has invented, developed or innovated a new product or services. A current job is going nowhere. Money has suddenly become available, that is an inheritable, the lottery, the selling of assets and opportunity has made itself known. That is local business is up for sale. A group of people whose needs are not being met as being spotted, or a product people would pay for as being discovered. So now let's discuss about the poor reasons for starting up a business. Following is a list of poor decisions about starting a business. Experienced professionals consider these are the poor motivation because on they are usually not enough to sustain long-term commitment. So what are the reasons? First reason is desperation. Make no mistake. Desperation is a powerful motivational stimulus. Yet it can also lead to poor judgment, rash decision, and dangerous leap into untested water. There is nothing else to do. That is the second reason. Feeling that no other options are available shows a lack of commitment and passion, two essential elements that comprise successful entrepreneurship. There is a lot of money to be made. This is a pipe dream, and it's often fueled by media stores that highlight apps, software developers, or others who stuck with the rich overnight. However, entrepreneur must be realistic with their expectations and now the difference between making of on one time only profit making a living daydreaming. The vast majority of successful entrepreneurs make living, not a fortune. Owning a business will make life easier. Unfortunately, having business usually increases one responsibility that doesn't translate into life easier. The next point is the entrepreneurs cannot work with others. If a vulnerable entrepreneurs cannot work with other people, then he or she is going to have countless problems dealing with customers, banker, landlord, suppliers, local or federal agencies. A parent company, if the entrepreneur is involved in franchises, and the many of other people who are often both directly and indirectly involved in the private enterprises. Let's move to the next point, that is owning a business will provide more free time. Running a business is time consuming and life consuming. Every entrepreneur interviewed for this book stated that he or she would work longer and harder running their own life than they ever did very much working for someone else. How small business owners managers spend their time. So when is the best time to start a new business venture? Some enthusiasts claim that there is no better time than now to own and run a business. It may be more prudent, however, for potential entrepreneurs to write down, research, and address exactly what it is they wish to do before they begin, as well as examine what starting a business will involve and how the process will be tackled. Without knowledge, which can take 6 months for longer to accumulate, the entrepreneur will probably not be ready for business business ownership. Just as important, critical outside obligation, that is the onset of medical treatment, college tuition payments, financial problems, unresolved crises, personal uh, dilemmas, and so on. So these should be taken care of beforehand to avoid distractions. The understanding and the supporting of partners, spouses, or children is equally as crucial because many experienced practitioners insist that entrepreneurs do not have much time to open with their loved ones during the first few years of a business venture. So, what about the economy? It is prudent to wait for the economy to improve before starting a business. Disney, Hewlett, and Microsoft all started during economic downturns, and as did half of the 30 companies that comprise the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Indeed, some analysts claim that a recession is a great time to open a business because wages are down, rents are cheaper, competition is scarce, and goods and services can be found at a discount. That being said, there is no definite proof to suggest that a recession makes starting a business easier. The availability of resources, personal abilities, and the current circumstances of the entrepreneur should all play a major role in the determining the best time to start up a business. So next point is, where is the best place to start up a business? The most obvious answer to this question is where there are plenty of customers, but one most also lead that into account the specific of the area or region where prospective customers are located. For example, if you are planning on setting a business in a part of world that you are only partly familiar with, perhaps because you fell in love with it while on vacation, do plenty of homework first. According to that, World Bank, International Finance Corporation, IFC, entrepreneurs planning starting a business in a foreign country or unfamiliar areas first ensure that the following situation exists. So these are the situations. The first situation is there should be a low number of rules, regulations, paperwork, and license to starting a business. Its activities can be made legitimate in timely manner. The second point is the business owner should be able to fire employees with relative ease. The business owner should have the capacity to draw up and enforce a legal contract. Business owner should be able to obtain creditor or borrow money. Um, Last point is a low number of steps and procedures should exist so that the business can neither be closed down or bankruptcy can be declared with ease. So, what are the advice from pros in this regard? The answer to why, when, and where a business should be started from the foundation of successful entrepreneurs. If you are interested in starting a business, the honors to a lot of your question will arise after you have studied and explore both yourself and your reasons for doing so. Says restaurants owner Bernard March, founder of the Chick a Chick cafe in Warsaw, Poland, to avoid the surprise and the unnecessary expenses behind them, examines each and every environmental, economic, and financial situation that surrounds you before taking action. Additional startup advice from experienced entrepreneurs include avoid rushing into uh, uncharted territory. Don't leap before looking. The second point is know the unexpected places where an entrepreneurial lifestyle may lead. For example, if you are a jewelry worker who loves the craft, but you are sick and tired of laboring for someone else and want to spend more time working a designer, bear in mind that running your own business. Running your own business may involve more administrative and creative work. The next point is yes, it is possible to bake cookies or build a piece of furniture or design website for a friend and be paid for it. But if you want to turn these pastimes into a business, you must first find out if producing them on a regular basis can secure a living. Is there an ongoing market for these product services in your area? If not, you can you afford to attract distant customers and ship your product to them? Will the money you generate be enough to pay a mortgage and bill and support your family? Before taking the entrepreneurial plunge, prepare for the obstacles and that stands in your way. Novel situations in business are rare, so it is possible to determine such of uh, what lies ahead. Don't leave a paying job to start up a business until you have first sorted out what you want to do and what direction are you going to take. You want to go, and the best time to start. Keep your current job while examining the self-employment options available, that you cannot be deprived of income before you going. If you have a good idea and have done your research more quickly and prudently, procrastination is a killer in the business world. Whether starting a business or launching new products, remember that idea is to score goals, not just kick the ball. 100% commitment in mandatory. The harder you work, the luckier you got. As famed Hollywood film producer Mike Todd once said, "The meek may inherit the earth, but not in your lifetime." Lastly, consider the often told, probably apocryphal story about the two explorers that were sent by a shoe company primitate part of the part of the world to determine the variability of market. Complete disaster wired the first explorer. No one here whales used the telegram from the second explorer arrived a few hours later. Fantastic opportunity it is. Read. No one have whales about the shoes. So let's move ahead. Next is finding a good business idea. In a business, the idea is the main thing. Capital can be raised and lost and raised again, but lost the idea and everything is lost. Opportunity is being missed by most because it is dressed in overall and look like hard work. Commercial entrepreneur is not about seller, it is about buyer. The idea is so match uh, the wants and needs of customers with the interest and passion of the entrepreneur. Uh, this can be a time consuming process. The owners and operations of Equation Business Solution in Cape Town, South Africa says that exploring a subject or product that the entrepreneur is familiar with or curious about is a good place to begin. Other suggestions include searching through the yellow pages to find out existing idea that can be copied or expanded upon. Edwin Land, the inventor of the Polaroid photography, once said that the best way to have a new idea to stop thinking in terms of old ideas. In this regard, perhaps combining different professions can yield a result, and interest in accounting and boating, for example, might be fused together to provide accounting services to the boating industry, or maybe experience with software and knowledge of transportation network may be merged to create a new service for suppliers and distributors. Additional options include examining the both sides of the existing opportunity. For instance, security and private police services make up world's fastest growing industry, so perhaps a copycat security service can be developed, maybe a marketable idea that reduces the circumstances behind the money for more security is better option. Other method of searching for potential market involve visiting area with an economic level of geographic location of personal entrepreneurs to see it if it has a need segment or investigation the commercial aspect of a field or subject that appears interesting. The challenge for entrepreneur is too much personal skill, interest and capabilities with the inherent passion and tie it to an understand customer base. Following is a list of questions designed to help out just that. The first one question is what do I enjoy the most? Doing something enjoyable is a good way to ignite commission and ignite commission, and possibly uncover an idea that will prove profitable. For example, the Boeing aircraft company got its start after fight enthusiasts will Boeing built a plane in 1916. Once plane led to two, then three, and so on. In Glasgow, Scotland, child lover Kathy Campbell turned the front room of her home uh, crutch a daycare center. Kathy is starting small and insists the wants to stay small so she can focus on her clients and avoid too many administrative duties, thereby allowing her to do what she wants love the most is playing with children. So the second question is what are my hobbies and my interests? So anything from growing roses or personalizing software programs to building the model ships can be turned into a profitable business if the circumstances are right. Either be teaching other how to do it by packaging and selling that what is created, or by selling related products to fellow enthusiasts. For example, quite a number of multi-million-dollar computer companies, Apple, Dell, Microsoft, were started by computer nerds who turned their computing interest into selling marketable computing products and services to the similar enthusiasts. The next question is what subjects or pastime I enjoy in college or any high school? So think back to your student years. Can the one or two subject you found most fascinating be turned into money-making idea with little thought uh, and effort they just might. For example, when MT Professor Harold Begerton invented the strobe light, he could not interest General Electric. It is possibilities, so he hooked up with two students and formed a business that photographed mechanical process at high speed, thereby providing a new way to look at and solve industrial problems. Similarly, Hewlett uh, Packard was formed by two Stanford students, Dave Packard and Bill Hewlett, who had passion for electronics. One of their first product, an audio oscillator that was purchased by Walt Disney for the making of Fantasia. Then their Gary Comer, with no more than a light school education and a love of sailing, Gary started a business that supplied sailing and equipment to fellow enthusiasts. The number and the name of business, mail order gains, lands ends. Next question is what marketable experience, knowledge, or skill do I possess? Almost everyone possesses a skill of knowledge that the potential to make money. Uh, for example, snap on the tools began when mechanists when Johnson and Williams Weidman fashioned together a set of interchangeable sockets and wrench handles to make their job easier. The company where they worked rejected their idea out of hand, but being experienced mechanists Johnson and uh, Speedman knew their idea was a sound one, so they developed it their own. In another example, fast food manager David Thompson helped Colonial Sanders succeed with the Kentucky Fried Chicken (KFC) franchise, then went on to use the additional experience he gained to the start Wendy's burger chain after his daughter. Further example of using personal skill to create a new business include mashup operations that combine different web-based tools to create new search and software possibilities, or teach-based operations that show others how to use digital photo software or new software for that matter. Technical processing or data collection services, as well as services that provide creative design, working for documents, menace, or marketing provide additional examples. The next question is have I ever looked at any other business or product and thought I can be better than that Many successful business get started because they are better than their competitors offer in terms of services, equity, location, speed, uniqueness. When Camel Wilson was charged an additional fee at a Meadside motel for each of his five children, he became so upset he started holi- holiday insurance. Polish immigration rebirth matters as school high dropout who scratched a midget living selling ice cream in Brooklyn, New York, suffered through years of price wars, cutthroat competitions, and ingredient shortage caused by World War World War II. Before the finally decided the fight the competition by developing the ice cream that didn't skim for ingredients after coming to the conclusion that may people in America hated the Irish, the Italian, the Poles, and the Jewish. Marcus can came up with the fascination Danish sounding names of Hagen Dazs. He reasoned that no one hated the Danish and looked over a niche luxury food market that had previously not been considered in New York. Dry cleaning equipment salesman Leon Hirsch was milling around a patient broker's office and ungainly surgical predicated earlier. Fascinated, he bought the license right to tools, improved the performance, and started the United States Surgical Corporation. It becomes a Fortune 500 company. Simply put, people will usually pay good money for products or services that in some way improve upon what's currently on the market. The next question is, are the people in my community asking for or in need of product or services? For centuries, prospective entrepreneurs have known that products or services that are needed or wanted are sure free money makers. That is how Levi Strauss of blue jeans fame got this start in the clothing industry. Strauss immigrated to the United States to start a dry goods business, but after landing in the California, he quickly discovered that most miners were desperate from clothing that could withstand the rigors of mining trade, not wanting to pass up this opportunity and not finding anything on the market to fit the bill. He fashioned a pair of trousers out of canvas and used rivets to hold the seams together and created the 501 blue jean. Alvan Cosmetics was founded by book salesman David McConnell, who quickly discovered that the free perfume samples he gave to women were more popular than his book. Decade later, Tom Fedjo and Walters sensed that changing specialization garbage truck helped fill the need of their community. 13 years passed during which time their business borrowing Paris became the second largest waste disposable company in the America. Lastly, the Cassier's supermarket in Berlin, Germany realized that most of the city population would be over the age of 50 by 2010 in now talking in newfound profits thanks to a store designed specifically for the elderly. The store include non-slip floors, window Essel's magnifying glasses attached to shopping cart to help read product label and step laning in the Excel so customer can reach items so high shelves. So the next question is, what will make the world or neighborhood or a better place? New days of thinking that can help the world become a better place to live can lead to much entrepreneurial success. For example, Anita Roddick founded the Body Shop because because she was upset by the fact that most cosmetics were tested on animals by squirting chemicals directly on their eyes. Her idea was to set up a company that sold beauty products free from animal testing. 100 years earlier, the Border Food Company came up with a winning idea that made the world safer when founder Gail Borden witnessed a number of infant deaths from mm, purified milk and saw the need for a non-perishable substitute. Border's creative thinking and determination led to the discovery of condensed milk, the clockwise ratio, and wind up the device invented by Terence Bellis so people in remote places without access to bacteria have the ability to innovate and persistence. A wind-up laptop computer has also been developed based on this concept. The water-purifying drinking straw packed with filtration aids is yet another